Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Caesar's Palace for 12 rounds of boxing. In the red corner, from Los Angeles, California, wearing the red trunks with the gold trim, weighing in at 125 pounds, the lightweight champion of the world, Danny Little Red Lopez. Well, Bill, our winners get a home theater receiver. That's right. Experience the full potential of high-definition video with this 72-channel digital home theater receiver from Yamaha. But wait, that's not all. They also get a 5.1-channel surround sound system from Mirage. With 5 palm-sized speakers and a compact subwoofer cube, the MX 5.1 brings you huge immersive sound with Mirage's omnipolar technology. All from the Spiegel catalog, Chicago, Illinois, 60609. And they're taking closer order as down the stretch they come. Mr. Hot Stuff has 3 lengths to make up with chocolate candy last. On the rail, take the points behind that gallant son with chocolate candy gaining on the outside. In the lead is Pioneer of the Nile being tackled by chocolate candy. They're neck and neck as they come to the wire. And Pioneer of the Nile holds off chocolate candy and wins the Santa Anita Derby. And now, on your feet, time to greet holder of 14 NBA titles, your home team, your Los Angeles Lakers. Number 3 at 6'8", 5th year out of UCLA, playing forward, Trevor Ariza. Starting at center, number 17 at 7 feet, 4th year out of St. Andrews High School, Andrew Bynum. And at guard, number 24, 6'6", 13th season out of Loyal Marion High School, Kobe Bryant.
But back then, your world was so small. There was like one hot chick in your village, and she was promised to some rich duke when she turned 14. Like, you didn't know marrying a snaggletooth was just something you did. You weren't gonna hold out for a 10 or wait for the right person. No, you married Bertha in a shack and had some fun before the fever took you. Just lower your standards, that's all I'm saying. I used to want, like, you know, the whole package. Like, he's got a job, he's nice to his family. Now I just want someone who takes direction well. That's all I want. I met my boyfriend in community college, actually, which is a little weird, a little bittersweet finding someone in community college, because finding someone in community college is sort of like finding a full bag of chips in the garbage. No, like, it's kind of a miracle, but hey, look around, you're still a possum.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, Trump Tuesday, March the 11th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have headlines, patriotic shorts, motivation, Bishop Barron, Ayn Rand, and Donald Trump. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And thank you. And now the headlines for Tuesday, March the 11th. Suspect's car bursts into flames during police chase in Elysian Valley. Secret recording. State Farm exec fired for apparent rate hike remarks. Bass's texts on Palisades fire response were not saved, report says. Rain and cooler temps returned to SoCal on Tuesday. New details emerge in the search for a missing Pennsylvania college student. 4-year-old boy calls 911 after bad mom eats his ice cream. Mistrial declared for Orange County judge accused of murdering his wife. Ukraine hits Russia in war's largest drone strike. And those are the headlines for Tuesday, March the 11th. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Donald Trump.
Years from now, some of them may look back and ask themselves whether they've made the right choice, whether they've made the most of the opportunities they've been given. Together, we have the same mission. Over the course of your life, you will find that things are not always fair. You will find that things happen to you that you do not deserve and that are not always warranted. But you have to put your head down and fight. Never, ever, ever give up. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. Nothing worth doing ever came easy. And the more righteous your fight, the more opposition that you will face. In your hearts are inscribed the values of service, sacrifice, and devotion. Now you must go forth into the world and turn your hopes and dreams into action. America has always been the land of dreams because America is a nation of true believers. When the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, they prayed. When the founders wrote the Declaration of Independence, they invoked our Creator 4 times. Because in America, we don't worship government, we worship God. It is why our currency proudly declares, "In God we trust." And it's why we proudly proclaim that we are one nation under God. The story of America is the story of an adventure that began with deep faith, big dreams, and humble beginnings. The next generation of American leaders never, ever give up. There'll be times in your life you'll want to quit. Never quit. Never stop fighting for what you believe in and for the people who care about you. Carry yourself with dignity and pride. Demand the best from yourself. The more people tell you it's not possible, that it can't be done, the more you should be absolutely determined to prove them wrong. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. You must keep pushing forward. And always have the courage to be yourself. America is better when people put their faith into action. Pray to God and follow His teachings. Today, each of you begins a new chapter as well. When your story goes from here, it will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. You will build a future where we have the courage to chase our dreams no matter what the cynics and the doubters have to say. you will have the confidence to speak the hopes in your hearts and to express the love that stirs your souls. As long as you have pride in your beliefs, courage in your convictions, and faith in God, then you will not fail. As long as America remains true to its values, loyal to its citizens, and devoted to its Creator, then our best days are yet to come.
And that was Trump. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now the patriotic short. And that was the patriotic short. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, a little bit of motivation.
The price you will pay, the suffering you will go through to make your dream come true is incredibly small than the price you will pay if you never do. You'll pay that one the rest of your life. Ask yourself what you're willing to risk. What's the price you're willing to pay? Because what most people do when they're trying to chase their dream or their big outcome, the whole time they're negotiating the price in their head. Should I continue to do it? Is it worth it? I don't know if I can continue anymore. It's getting higher, and that price is failure. That price is setback. That price is looking back. That price can be financial, literally a physical price. Is it getting too high? Is it too much? And you'll have people in your ear, it's too big a sacrifice. You're going through too much. And you begin to negotiate it in your mind. It distracts all your focus. You can't be executing and negotiating simultaneously. If you're in your head negotiating and negotiating and negotiating, you can't execute. So negotiate it now. Negotiate it with me now. What are you willing to pay? For me, when I'm after something big, I'm going to get it. And I know that negotiation comes up front. I accept the suffering. I accept the sacrifice. I know the sacrifice is far smaller than the one I'll pay if I don't do it. And I eliminate distractions and I go freaking get what I want in my life just like you can. And this needs to be your recipe as well.
Do you expect, based upon your performance, based upon what you produce at this point in time in your life, do you expect to be successful? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to live a life of productivity? Are there dreams you want? Everybody will say yes. But see, want shows up in conversation. Expectation shows up in behavior. See, I can tell what you expect by what you do. Judge a tree by the fruit it bears. Not the fruit that it wants. Not the fruit that it talks about. Not the fruit that it claims. But by what you are doing. See, what you do when you leave here. When the music stops. When the shouting dies down. Your behavior. How you conduct yourself. Writing your goals down. Deciding to enroll in school to get a GED. Deciding to sit into class with children young enough to be your grandchildren. Decide to find some product, some idea, some service that you can provide so that you can begin to create some value for yourself so you can create wealth. It's dreams were easy, everybody would make them happen. The problem is that most people, they can't get up in the morning. They ain't got no energy. They don't got the energy to keep up with me. I'm like, boo, ain't nothing wrong with you. You just ain't got the stamina. You just ain't got the energy. You can't smart everything. You can't outthink everything. Some stuff is just, you gotta be powerful. It's just some stuff that you gotta have stamina for. You're just too slow. It just take you too long. You wake up, take you 3 weeks to do what it can take 24 hours to do. It don't make you a bad person, but you're gonna forever be average, because to be great, you got to keep up. I'm obsessed with improvement. Every day I'm getting better. This is the only opportunity I got. Every single day I gotta lose myself in this moment.
As we begin to focus on developing ourselves, as we begin to elevate ourselves and not to follow the crowd, activating the thinker in us and disciplining and putting on hold the emotional part of ourselves. It's not easy, but through practice and practice and practice, practice makes improvement. You can always better your best. You can always go beyond anything that you have ever done. You'll never hit a state of perfection. You're always bigger than what you do. And so all you're looking for are new breakthroughs through practice and practice and practice. You'll get better and better and better.
The more you do, the more you realize you can do. And the better you are, the better you realize that you can become. You gotta stop waiting for your circumstance to change, and you gotta change the circumstance. You gotta stop saying that something's gonna happen, that something's gonna change, that some miraculously is gonna take place in my life that's gonna put me where I wanna be. Is not gonna happen. But every day you wake up, every day you get up, you got an opportunity. Every day you wake up, your fortune teller is you. At the end of that lottery ticket, it's you. Yep, you could be a millionaire. I don't know what you wanna be or what you wanna do, but I'm telling you, you can do it. But you gotta understand that the person that's gonna help you is the person that's the end of your arms, your hand. It's you. You have what it takes mentally. You have what it takes physically. You got the heart. You got everything it takes to make it happen. People say it seems like you're stronger now. You're more committed now. It seems like your drive is higher now. Well, happy. I'm wired differently. Every opportunity is the last opportunity. Every opportunity I have to reprove myself again. Because the day you become content is the day you die. You have to make a decision that nobody in your position will outwork you. A part of being a beast just ain't eating a gazelle. A part of being a beast is to hunt. Because real lions like to hunt. They love the process just as much as they love the prize. And some of y'all just want to score. You don't like the process. It is the process of the grind that shapes you and forms you. It's not the game. You think grind is what happens when the lights come on, when the sun comes out. That's not grind. The real grind is in the dark when nobody sees you, when nobody knows what you're doing, when you put in those extra reps. It's the process that makes you sweet. There are those of you with phones, and every new phone that comes out, you get it. Every piece of software, you get it. You are upgrading your technology, and you've not upgraded yourself. You don't think any different. You don't speak any different. You're the exact same person you were in 2010. I challenge you. Be obsessed with improvement and go from a gazelle to a lion. Why? Because if you don't kill it, then your family won't eat.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, sound bath in the forest. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now the Daily Stoic.
Somewhere, someone's dying. Whenever disturbing news is delivered to you, bear in mind that no news can ever be relevant to your reasoned choice. Can anyone break news to you that your assumptions or desires are wrong? No way. But they can tell you someone died. Even so, what is that to you? Epictetus, Discourses, 3.18.1 through 2. A well-meaning friend might ask you today, what do you think about insert tragedy from the other side of the world? You, in your equally well-meaning concern, might say, I just feel awful about it. In this scenario, both of you have put aside your reasoned choice without doing a single thing for the victims suffering from the actual tragedy. It can be so easy to get distracted by, even consumed by, horrible news from all over the world. The proper response of the Stoic to these events is not to not care, but mindless, meaningless sympathy does very little either, and comes at the cost of one's own serenity in most cases. If there is something you can actually do to help these suffering people, then yes, the disturbing news and your reaction to it has relevance to your reasoned choice. If emoting is the end of your participation, then you ought to get back to your own individual duty, to yourself, to your family, to your country.
And that was the Daily Stoic. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Father Dan Reel.
This is the most evil generation since the inception of man. Worse than the flood, worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that we can instantly communicate with everybody around the world, and we are propagating sin in a way we never used to. If you wanted to have a sexual sin, you had to go do it with somebody. But now we can open a phone and do things on the phone. And Los Angeles is #1 exporter of pornography to the whole world. We should be not only ashamed of that statistic as Americans, but fearful for the kind of things that they're opening up to the country with that kind of filth, with the demonic world. And then you look at the rest of Hollywood. I just saw Nicole Kidman has a new movie coming out who alleges to be Catholic. They almost gave it an X rating. In our day and age, imagine that. So they had to cut stuff to get it down to R. But she has a preoccupation. It's having an affair, but also preoccupation with animals. So we're going to a whole new level.
And that was The Exorcist. And now, the Ayn Rand thought of the day. Quote, the new intellectuals must fight for capitalism not as a practical issue, not as an economic issue, but with the most righteous pride as a moral issue. That is what capitalism deserves, and nothing less will save it. Unquote. And that's Ayn Rand from the chapter For the New Intellectual from the book For the New Intellectual. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the end of Maria, beginning of Stuart.
Welcome back. 30 minutes before the opening bell sounds for a Tuesday after a massive sell-off. Yes, just get some final thoughts here. Mark, Dow Industrials and the S&P now negative.
Uh-oh. Yeah, during these violent market sell-offs, you've got two options. You can shake in your boots or you can be opportunistic. I highly recommend you choose the latter.
Yeah, don't shake in your boots. That's for sure, Cheryl.
I'm wondering how this is going to go today with President Trump and the Business Roundtable. That meeting is going to be very interesting, Maria.
Todd.
Fundamental transformation takes time. Play the long game.
All right. Thanks, guys. Great show today. We will see everybody tomorrow. Have a good Tuesday, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. Varney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
All right. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. It is the day after a very big market sell-off. It is also the day after the big interview on Fox Business, Larry Kudlow digging deep with Elon Musk. We'll start with the market. no rebound after a major decline. Look at this. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ split decision, no rebound. We've got a little bit of green. I'll get it on the screen shortly. I've got a little bit of green for you. I think it's no, I don't. No green. After a huge decline yesterday, we've got a little bit more selling this morning. Dow off 30, S&P down 2, NASDAQ down 6 points. Remember, yesterday, the NASDAQ had its worst day since December 2022, down again, just a little this morning. Bitcoin, I'm going to say that is in the doldrums, up a little this morning, but it's at 81.2. Yesterday, it was well below 80,000 a coin. Interest rates, they're at lower levels. The 10-year Treasury coming in at 4.22. The 2-year coming in well below 4%. I've got it at 3.90 at the moment. I want to go back to stocks and look at Tesla. It dropped 15% just yesterday alone, its lowest level in 4 years. This morning, it's up only 45 cents, $2.22 per share. Which brings us to Elon. He's lost, by my calculation, $132 billion since December as Tesla stock came way down. He's associated with Trump's vigorous government staffing cuts. That makes him unpopular in some quarters. Tesla dealerships being attacked. Now, in the interview, he came across as restrained and articulate. He told Larry that all actions taken by Doge are posted on the Doge.gov website for all to see. He's transparent. He has 100 people working with him now. That'll go up to 200. He says he's on the job for at least another year. He's not going away. You'll hear a lot more from that interview later in the show. Politics. Finally, a crackdown on elite college anti-Semitism. The administration has sent letters to 60 colleges threatening a withdrawal of funds if they don't take action. The organizer of the pro-Hamas Columbia encampment, Mahmoud Khalil, he's been detained by Homeland Security. This breaks new ground. Khalil is a green card holder, a legitimate immigrant, but that does not give him the right to promote a terror group, Hamas. On Ukraine, Special Envoy Witkoff says there is progress. He says Zelensky has apologized to Trump and that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is in Saudi Arabia meeting his Ukrainian counterparts. You know, we follow politics and money. We've got big news on both yet again. And it is Tuesday, March the 11th. By the way, that is the 5th anniversary of the COVID pandemic declaration. Varney and Company is next.
And that was Maria and Stu. Back in a minute. Thank you, and now some Byung-Chul Han. The smooth is the signature of the present time. It connects the sculptures of Jeff Koons, iPhones, and Brazilian waxing. Why do we today find what is smooth beautiful? Beyond its aesthetic effect, it reflects a general social imperative. It embodies today's society of positivity. What is smooth does not injure, nor does it offer any resistance. It is looking for like. The smooth object deletes its against. Any form of negativity is removed. And that was Byung-Chul Han from Saving Beauty. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now my weekly stats from Spreaker for the week of March the 2nd through March the 8th. Total number of downloads was down. Yeah, down in the United States, down in Spain, down a little bit in Australia, but up in the United Kingdom. And those were the stats for the week of March the 2nd through March the 8th from Spreaker. Back in a minute. Thank you. So, first of all, the reason that Democrats should be happy about Doge and what Doge is doing in terms of discovering fraud, waste, and abuse instead of protesting is because everything costs money. Democrats want single-payer health care. Democrats want to diminish or end climate change. They want to end homelessness, and doing it by getting homes, building homes for the homeless. All of that is tremendously expensive. So you should be happy that Doge is discovering all of this waste, because eventually, we all know, the Democrats are going to be back in power. And it's much better for your goals and plans if the Democrat that comes back into power has the money to implement things like single payer. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a little bit of Law and Order.
Haven't even tried, Sandy. The papers are clamoring for an execution.
Because they know that's what the people want. Pataki rode the death penalty plank all the way to a mansion in Albany.
Political propaganda. The voters just jumped on the bandwagon.
You don't like the law, so it's propaganda.
Come on, Jack. The homicide rate is at a 25-year low without the death penalty.
So that's not the point. The proper response to this is the death penalty exists always. The only question is the state going to take charge of it, or is the death penalty going to be left to the tender mercies of the average individual? In this particular case that they're talking about, an accountant shot and killed an undercover police officer knowing that he was an undercover police officer. And that's why they're bringing the death penalty. And the guy on trial, Sandig, basically handed out a death penalty to this police officer. Why shouldn't the state give the death penalty to him? Back in a minute. Thank you. A little bit more Law and Order.
All I can say is I'm glad I'm not on the bench anymore.
Good fight's not so good of late.
The Constitution is a living thing, Adam. It expands, it contracts. It has to cast off what it cannot use. Otherwise, it dies.
You're telling me?
So he's speaking poetically. Also, he's speaking as though the Constitution is, and he says a living thing, and it's not true. It doesn't do anything. The Constitution gets modified by the people. When the people have decided that the Constitution is wrong, outdated, whatever the situation is, the people have a remedy, and it's called a constitutional amendment. And if the entire Constitution is found to be wanting, then the people can have a constitutional convention and reform the entire thing. So not only is the Constitution not living, we don't need a living Constitution. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the Gospel according to Breaking Bad.
Chapter 8. He was a problem dog. And the picture for this chapter is a German Shepherd dog lying down, looking at a stake in the ground, which he is chained to. Discovering a moral center. Famous psychiatrist Carl Jung could have been describing the two central characters of Breaking Bad when he wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Throughout the series, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman are both transformed by their interactions with each other, one for the worse and one for the better. As Walter devolves from family man to drug lord, Jesse evolves from a careless high school junkie dropout to a conflicted, haunted underling in Walter's empire. He may even evolve into the moral center of the show, the one character who may experience some kind of redemption by series' end. Though Jesse's actions are often just as heinous as Walter's, his reactions to his own choices drastically differ from that of his boss. Imagine plotting Walter and Jesse's moral choices on a line graph where the x-axis equals time and the y-axis equals general morality. Though their respective lines would each have deviations overall, Walter's line would steadily decrease while Jesse's marches upwards. In other words, Walter breaks bad as Jesse strives to break good. In my estimation of this imaginary graph, Walter and Jesse's general morality scores intersect in Season 4, Episode 7's Problem Dog. It's within this remarkable episode that we finally see Jesse come to terms with his inner demons. The episode begins with a brilliant scene as Jesse plays the aptly titled video game, Rage. In between gory scenes depicted within the game, Jesse sees images that will haunt him for the rest of his life. His murder of Gail Bedecker. Using a gun controller, Jesse attempts to flee his troubled mind through the mindless playing of a video game actually allows his demons to break back into his reality. When he's killed within the game, he pauses, ostensibly considering his real-life actions. He turns back to the game, points his gun at the screen, and fires upon the word restart. Either he simply wants to keep playing the game as a way to escape his reality, or this is a subtle way for the show to tell us that Jesse wants a restart in real life. Once we view the rest of the episode, this second interpretation isn't so far-fetched. In a highly symbolic scene, the next time Jesse's seen in this episode, he and Walter talk about Jesse's relationship with Gus. Though their conversation moves the plot forward, Jesse's actions during this scene tell us all we need to know about his moral compass. Jesse, who's often seen wearing loud colors, now dons a white t-shirt. Additionally, he's repainting the interior of his formerly graffitied house, covering his walls in white, a stark outer sign of his desire to also change his interior life. However, this show revels in the gray areas. Another way to interpret this scene could be that Jesse's simply trying to cover up his sins. Jesus spoke to such superficialities in Matthew 23:27. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean. As Jesse paints, he tells Walter that he'll kill Gus first chance I get. Has Jesse really changed, then? We can't know which interpretation is correct until the series ends. As the episode progresses, Jesse fails to kill Gus with a vial of ricin, a move which Gus may have unknowingly prevented by telling Jesse that he sees something in him. Such words are manna to Jesse, who's far more accustomed to being a screw-up than someone who's respected. In many ways, Gus replaced Walter as Jesse's stand-in father figure. Gus provides Jesse with more respect, more attention, and more responsibility than does Walter. Gus's motivations are not pure, of course. He wants Walter's higher-value meth without the baggage of Walter's ego, so he desires Jesse to become his crystal blue cook. Even though we're aware of Gus's devious aspirations in regards to his relationship with Jesse, Jesse himself remains mostly clueless about that fact. Once his partnership with Walter has begun to deteriorate, Jesse is naturally inclined to attach himself to another person who sees at least an ounce of worth in his soul. Consequently, it's easy to believe that Jesse never wanted to kill Gus, despite the horrors he's witnessed as a result of Gus's own hands. Jesse desperately searches for an identity throughout the series, and it's intriguing to see how small words of encouragement or discouragement wreak disproportionate havoc on his self-worth. Walter constantly undercuts Jesse's self-confidence, often relapsing into the role of Jesse's knowledgeable teacher. Even though such instances provide us with a discomforting glance into Walter and Jesse's previous relationship as actual student and teacher, these scenes also serve to augment Walter's sense of superiority over Jesse, even though Jesse's chemical knowledge and professional skills come to rival Walter's. As damning evidence of Walter's persistent goading, Jesse verbally explodes this barrage of pent-up rage on Walter in Season 3, Episode 7's 1 Minute. I am not turning down the money. I am turning down you. You get it? I want nothing to do with you. Ever since I met you, everything I cared about is gone, ruined, turned to dead. Ever since I hooked up with the great Heisenberg, I have never been more alone. I have nothing. No one. All right, it's all gone. Get it? No. Why? Why would you get it? What do you even care? As long as you get what you want, right? You don't give a about me. You said I was no good. I'm nothing. Why would you want me, huh? You said my meth is inferior, right? Right? Hey, you said my cook was garbage. Hey, screw you, man. Screw you. Ever the manipulator, Walter calmly replies, Your meth is good, Jesse, as good as mine. These dregs of encouragement are just enough for Jesse to eventually become Walter's full-time lab partner. Still, Walter keeps Jesse under his control by belittling him in a myriad of ways, mostly through the constant reminder of who Jesse was and the drug issues that have always plagued him. In contrast, as we'll see in the following section, there are others in Jesse's life who tell him that he is full of worth. Such a duality of existence sits at the heart of Christianity. We are sinful beings bent on self-destruction, but we are loved far beyond imagination. We are constantly reminded of our misdeeds, which requires just as constant a reminder of our actual rich worth in God. Some may call us by one name, junkie, dropout, loser, while others seek to dispel the darkness with another name, son, daughter, beloved. We live within this tension every day, fighting the same battle that Jesse fights on the show, whether to believe the bad or make visible the good, accepting the truth. The essential scene of this episode may be Aaron Paul's best performance of the series, and that's saying much considering his considerable acting ability. The immorality of Jesse's actions and the seemingly chaotic, careless nature of the universe finally boil over as he attends a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. His impassioned soliloquy about a problem dog he had to put down, but in reality about his murder of Gail Bedecker, is an even more telling sign of Jesse's moral journey than him whitewashing the walls of his home. To make Jesse's inner world even more noticeable, he's wearing equal parts white and black, a veritable yin-yang symbol come to life as a penitent junkie murderer. After the NA counselor extols the benefits of not judging your own actions, he asks Jesse what's going on with him. Jesse admits to going back to the crystal, but relates that he's been sober for 4 days. While Jesse's glassy eyes allow us a glimpse into the tortured state of his soul, his words resound with a devastating truth about the universe of Breaking Bad. A couple weeks back, I killed a dog. I put him down. I watched him go. I was looking at him straight in the eye. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't know why. He was just scared. And then he was gone. Another NA member attempts to console him. He was suffering. It was a kindness. Jesse breaks the truth to her and himself. He wasn't sick. He was just like a I don't know, like a problem dog. The NA counselor asks him how he feels about what he did. Jesse humbly replies, I don't know. The woman who tried to offer words of encouragement just 2 seconds ago turns on Jesse, spouting her anger at his seeming monstrousness. Who cares how you feel? What kind of person kills a dog for no reason? The counselor chides her for crosstalk, then reminds the group that we're not here to sit in judgment. Jesse's reply is telling. Why not? Maybe she's right. You know, maybe I should have put it in the paper. Maybe I should have done something different. The thing is, if you just do stuff and nothing happens, what's it all mean? What's the point? All right, this whole thing is about self-acceptance, the counselor interjects. Kicking the hell out of yourself doesn't give meaning to anything. Jesse's volume and anger rise. Should I stop judging and accept? So no matter what I do, hooray for me, because I'm a great guy, it's all good, no matter how many dogs I kill? What, I just do an inventory and accept? I mean, you back your truck over your own kid and you, accept? What a load of crap. Once the moral dam has burst, Jesse can't stop the flood. You know what? Why I'm here in the first place is to sell you meth. You're nothing to me but customers. I made you my... You okay with that, huh? You accept? The counselor quietly but audibly replies, no. Jesse quickly retorts, about time, and leaves. In the very next scene, he's adamantly scrubbing away at the chemistry equipment in their lab, symbolically still trying to clean himself. The greatest story ever told. Problem Dog caused one commentator to state that the evolution of Jesse Pinkman could very well be one of the greatest stories ever told through television. While there's definitely some validity to that statement, the de-evolution of Walter White greatly overshadows Jesse's metamorphosis. Walter White will go down in the annals of TV history as one of the most dynamic characters of all time, fully achieving what Gilligan set out to do with the series in leading a main character from point A to point OMG. Yet, I believe this is why many people fail to properly appreciate the change that's occurred in Jesse throughout the show. Walter White is such a manipulative character that he even manipulates us. His ever-expanding ego wants us to see him as the focal point of the series, when Jesse may in fact be more worthy of our attention. Though the devastating actions of Walter White are highly entertaining, the transformation of a junkie dropout who'd pretty much given up on life into someone seeking moral grounding is far more fascinating and worthy of respect. It's not wholly Jesse's fault that he lives under the shadow of Heisenberg's pork pie hat. Walter uses Jesse over and over again to commit heinous crimes he wouldn't commit himself. In many ways, Jesse is the more courageous of the two, even though most of the time he's goaded, guilted, or manipulated into action. Early on, Jesse is a foot soldier who doesn't question commands, knowing that doing so would result in losing the benefits of his position. However, as the series progresses and Jesse becomes more and more aware of Walter's actual nature, he becomes more his own person, willing to throw down the proverbial gauntlet at Walter's feet, using that courage he once had to commit murder and turning it into courage to stand up to Heisenberg. The junkie dropout we saw fall naked out of a second-story window in the pilot episode, the guy who ends every sentence with "yo," has gradually become the voice of reason in a world where reason is used to manipulate everyone. Jesse sees and experiences the full measure of his actions, and he fears the judgment surely coming for him as well. However, we won't really know whether or not to celebrate Jesse's moral progression until the series ends. Will he turn on Walter in an effort to redeem himself? Will he sacrifice himself in order to save Walter's family from Walter? Will he join forces with Hank to bring down Heisenberg? Will he seek to supplant Walter by series end becoming the next great drug kingpin of the ABQ, completely erasing everything his soul has struggled to accept thus far? From moments like the problem dog confession to the instance where Jesse's the only one to scream, "No!" at Todd's killing of Drew Sharp, the young boy who witnessed their train heist in Season 5, Episode 5's Dead Freight, it's much more likely that Jesse will break good by series' end. His conscience strives to be free of the shackles of his circumstances. In Season 5, Episode 7's Say My Name, Jesse wants out, again, and asks Walt for his share of the money they've made in the deal they've struck with Declan, a new distributor on the scene. Jesse wants his money to get out of the game. Walter, angered by Jesse's desire to leave their money-making outfit, attempts to further guilt Jesse into staying, goading him by the fact that he has nothing else in his life to hold on to. Jesse upends Walter's expectations and tells him to just keep the money. When Jesse realizes that the money is simply not worth the high price he and many others have already paid, we can see how far he's come. One website commentator echoes my thoughts on Jesse. I find myself caring less and less about Walt's fate and just hoping that the series ends with Jesse finding inner peace and being able to live with himself. Collectively, we hope that this lifetime problem dog isn't put down by a lone bullet fired by his mentor's hand. We can hope, and maybe even pray, that Jesse Pinkman escapes Albuquerque alive and moves to New Zealand, a redeemed man, gliding over all the atrocities of his past.
And that was the latest chapter of The Gospel According to Breaking Bad, written by Blake Atwood and read by Alex Hyde White. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that determinism is optional.